In this episode of Fifth Gear, Quentin, Willson and Tiff Needell stage a high-speed collision. There are tests of the RollsRoyce Phantom and Jaguar XJ, plus a drive in Paul McCartney's Aston Martin.
Now, the worst crash is a head-on crash. Picture this, you're driving along a country road, minding your own business, when suddenly the car coming the opposite direction swerves straight into you, head-on. It is a worst-case scenario, but it happens to someone, somewhere, every single day. But can you imagine what a car would actually go through in an accident like that? The forces involved, the total, complete and utter destruction. And what would be left if you drove into another car? Head-on, both travelling at 60 miles an hour. Yes, 60 miles an hour. Crash tests rarely offer a ringside seat to such high-speed carnage. Indeed, most happen at a more modest 30 to 40 miles an hour. But we're going to give you the chance to see what you normally don't. It may not be very scientific, but I promise it will be spectacular. So join us later in the show when Quentin and I will drive into each other at a closing speed of 120 miles an hour. What's more, we will live to tell the tale, and it'll all be down to this very clever piece of red plastic pipe.
Westminster Abbey, home of the coronation, the House of Kings. Here, amongst tributes to England's great and good, is a single homage to someone from the motor industry. This window is dedicated to the memory of Sir Henry Royce, a brilliant engineer and, of course, the other half of Rolls-Royce. Not, therefore, a brand or car to be taken lightly.
And I want you to bear that in mind while we talk about the new one.
I give you the Phantom. Challenging styling, wouldn't you say?
So, this then is what £250,000 buys you. Something that's very, very big, everywhere, and very German.
Because it is, of course, BMW who are in charge these days, and my, have they got their work cut out. Over the last 30 years or so, the Rolls-Royce brand has become so cheapened and tarnished that it's now a mark associated more with pools winners and villains than the aristocracy. But if this car is immaculately built and magnificent in every detail, the name of Rolls-Royce could be restored. All it has to do is be the best car in the world.
And in here are the people who are trying to make that happen.
The new £65 million factory at Goodwood, Sussex is a heartening blend of tweed-wearing craftsmanship and technology in all the right places.
If this is your car, I apologise unreservedly. Just don't buy one of these Phantoms with black upholstery. You could buy the one that I've done.
BMW have tried enormously hard to make sure that their factory is lovely in every way, and have tried even harder with attention to detail on the car itself. Like an exhaust valve that operates at low speeds to make one's arrival more understated. Not to mention hubs that always keep the double R perfectly upright. Heated side glass and hidden vents provide more agreeable indirect ventilation. The boulevard setting on the interior lamps gently illuminates you to passers-by. And remember, Rolls owners prefer to hold their steering wheel at 8:20, not 1:50. And I will mention the stereo, with 7.1 surround sound, 9 amplifiers and 15 speakers.
Mind you, there is the odd bit of beastliness, you know. Everything's not absolutely perfect. These are horrible, cheap, tacky, nasty cup holders, so no tactile bounty there at all. Ashtray's jolly good, though. Size of a landfill site.
Rolls owners will be relieved to know that the onboard computer is controlled by a much simpler version of BMW's contentious iDrive.
Open these wonderful rear doors using this magnificent handle from a 50s refrigerator, and you will find, first of all, your very own Rolls-Royce umbrella. Here it is, one of these in each door, and they're Teflon coated so they don't rot. Step inside what is the lounge spec, And you find that the seats are slightly curved so you can talk to each other, but you can also have the theatre spec, which has multimedia, DVD players, etc. Every Rolls Phantom requires 16 hides for the interior, but it's not just any leather. It's the leather from bulls, because apparently the Germans say that ordinary cows are good for only babies und milk. So does it drive like a Rolls-Royce? Well, undoubtedly. In fact, you feel as though you were piloting a silver cloud that's been tweaked to feel modern. The ride is as smooth as unrolled silk, but then no smoother than the new Jaguar XJ. It is cathedral quiet, but again, no quieter than, say, Lexus LS430. What is really nice and a bit of a revelation is the steering. You'd expect it to be really over-assisted and a bit slacky, but no, it's got lots of information, lots of communication comes up through the wheel, and you never wonder whether there's any grip left. Being a Rolls-Royce, of course, one never has a rev counter. That would be the rude mechanicals being exposed to the Rolls-Royce owner. Instead, you have what's known as a power reserve gauge.
And what wicked Phantom owner could resist flooring the throttle to see if the power reserve ever goes down to single figures? It does, but you'll run out of road before it runs out of power. 60 takes just 5.7 seconds for the V12 and 6-speed automatic. But talking of numbers is so terribly vulgar. For this car, the view from the back seems much more important. And hold on, it won't be what you expect.
My initial impression of this car is that it's an incredibly expensive joke on the indiscriminately rich.
I like its silence and its sense of weight, but it's so bloody ugly.
I can't help believing you'd have to have a sort of severe psychological problem actually to want to own and drive one of these cars.
It's not really a car, it's a kind of boast.
You might as well have, I'm a rich Pratt tattooed on your forehead.
The front looks gorgeous. Is this the SOS button that phones the police if you get carjacked?
That's it.
It's a bit dangerous that, to have it there, really. I mean, your high heels could get stuck there, couldn't it? Know what I mean?
It's like Robin Williams' joke about cocaine. It's God's way of telling you you've got too much money.
Slow down, people can't see me. Hello! Wonderful day for buying London. How much are you? Pretentious!
So has Rolls-Royce been saved? Is it back as the best car in the world? Well, undoubtedly BMW have restored some of the reputation for build quality, engineering excellence and attention to detail. But, and it's a big but, whilst they were slaving over the technology, they didn't half take their eye off the styling. Everyone we spoke to on our travels, policemen, passers-by, doormen, design gurus, all said it was unforgivably ugly.
So there you are, you spent your £250,000 and you're driving along, and there will always be this doubt, this horrible echoing doubt in your mind that those people who are looking at you so intently, are they looking at you with warm approval, or are they actually pointing and laughing? I couldn't bear the embarrassment, so I will not be signing a cheque for a Rolls-Royce Phantom. And neither, really, should you.
Welcome back. We're planning a graphic demonstration of the horrors of a high-speed collision. We want to crash this Volvo into this BMW. The cars will hit with a closing speed of 120 miles an hour. So, how are we going to do that then? Stage 1, buy some cars. I found this BMW 525 and Volvo 960, both full of tax and MOT, and both for about £1,000.
Stage 2, crash them. Now, Tiff and I could have got into these cars, driven at each other, and then at the last moment, jumped out.
But Quentin wasn't keen. So enter Dr. James Brighton, an engineering expert who's pretty handy with hydraulics and knows his way round Radio Shack. We've commissioned him and his team to make our cars controllable by remote control, the ultimate big boys' toys. Our red pipe is the aerial.
So, James, you've been toiling like a troglodyte to get this car to drive remotely. What's involved?
A mass of wires and a couple of bits of string is all I can see, James.
Washing line, Tim.
How have you done it now?
Indeed. Well, there's three functions that we have to control: steering, acceleration, and we need to do brakes. We have an actuator for the brakes, just a spring damper unit.
It's a boot strut, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, exactly. So we've got a gas strut here. We've used one of those because it provides a uniform force across its whole travel.
And what's the washing line for?
The washing line, right. Well, this rope here is used to control the steering wheel. So we've got it mounted onto this quadrant across here. And as the quadrant moves left and right, so it turns the steering wheel left and right.
And then how does the throttle actually work then?
OK, well, we've got another quadrant similar to this one that does the steering, mounted at 90 degrees to it. And that pulls this red cord, which is attached to the throttle pedal.
You can change gear as well?
We can, yes. We have another actuator onto the gear linkage, so by using the controller we can actually select drive or reverse.
All with a little help from an air compressor in the boot. How are Quentin and I actually going to drive the car?
How are you going to drive it?
How are we
Right,
going to actuate the actuators?
You need a remote control unit.
If I crash
We
model
have here.
cars, I mean, I'm not very good at those round a little track. I suppose I'm
And
going a
here-
straight line.
And here we have just a standard remote control transmitter. Throttle on this one, so forwards for increasing throttle, pull it backwards to slow down. Gears are then pushed forward to go into forwards, pull backwards to go into reverse, and then flick this button to release the brakes, give it some throttle, and then you steer left and right on the right-hand stick.
Sounds easy. And admit it, you want one. Oh, we're off.
Creep away.
Oh, right.
This is rather fun.
Reverse. Come on, boy, come on. Come on, back a bit. Whoa, back a bit. Whoa. Stop!
I sent my man to put it in reverse for us, and very neatly come to a stop now. Brakes on. Fantastic.
So, fully practiced, we lined the cars up, and it was ready, aim, and technical problem. We couldn't fix it till the next day, so join us after Vicki for the mother of all impacts.
Nah. The best bit of Hey Jude. I wonder where Paul McCartney wrote that song. Actually, it was right here. In his beautiful 1966 Goodwood Green Aston Martin DB6. Complete with specially requested tape recorder for noting down those vital flashes of inspiration. McCartney owned this, as well as a Mini Cooper, like all the other Beatles, when he was just 23. Back then, the Mini would have cost £778. This would have been £5,000. But it wasn't an extravagant rock star whim. Macca loved the car and kept it for 6 years. He even had it flown to France for a driving holiday. Sitting here, it's really easy to see how he got so attached. I mean, driving down this long and winding road in a hurry to get back after a hard day's night. The luxury, the 4-litre straight six, the character are all perfect. And I mean perfect. Utterly, completely, totally perfect, down to the last nut and bolt. Why? Because it's been painstakingly restored over 16 months by Aston Martin themselves to showcase the talents of their works service department. Now, works service isn't just a restoration business, nor is it just the garage where Prince Charles gets his DB7 MOT'd. It's where anything can happen to an Aston Martin. It's a very special place indeed. Imagine that you were an Aston Martin owner and you retired abroad. Well, Work Service will happily change your car from right-hand drive to left-hand drive. Then say, for example, you got gout. Well, they will change your manual gearbox into an automatic one. Then, when you pass your car on to your children, they will upgrade the handling and the power. Nice. It doesn't stop there. They'll rebuild your car to a higher standard than when it was new, and then recreate the day you first took delivery by presenting it with contemporary magazines. Always wanted a DB4 with aircon? We've hidden it in the door, Mr. Bond. Why not fit remote central locking as well, and a digital radio? Fed up with the square lamps on your DB7? Then get round ones. And while you're at it, why not swap your American walnut for European? What's the maddest request you've had to modify a car?
The most significant one that we always remember was the making of a James Bond DB5.
A proper real-life one?
Oh, yes, a real DB5.
What things did it have on it?
It had everything. We did it right. The indicator lights came down, the guns came out, and there was a strobe light and a speaker noise. And inside the car, it had the satellite navigation system. And then under the driver's seat was the full tray that came out with the dagger, with the compass in it, the gun, the bullets, the hand grenade and everything. But the key thing for us, and the most fun that we had, apart from the revolving number plates and all the normal things, and the red button on top of the gear lever, was the squirting the water out from under the rear lights. We actually took a step back from doing it with oil. We did it with water, which was a lot of fun, and of course the smoke. And road testing that with the smoke out the back, it was pretty good.
So that's what we all want for Christmas then. Of course, none of this comes cheap. Owners think nothing of spending £50,000 buying a car and then a further £150,000 getting it right. Seems mad, but when you adore your car, it doesn't seem to matter. All you need is love.
A new Jaguar is always a big deal for us Brits. In your 20s, you want a hot hatch. In your 30s, you want a fast Beamer. In your 40s, well, you kind of want anything with a short skirt and a pulse. But in your 50s, you always end up wanting a Jag. And we're here to tell you whether this has still got claws. Well, actually, they've scrapped the idea of making it out of steel and have decided to make it out of aluminium instead. But what does that mean? Well, whereas the old XJ was made out of steel and welded, which is heavy, the new XJ is made out of aluminium and riveted, which isn't. And that means you don't need as much energy to cart the whole lot around. Simple. Now, typically, that means the whole XJ range is some 200 kilograms lighter than either the Mercedes S-Class or BMW 7 Series, which is like carrying two of me around at all times. Ugh.
There'll be 4 engines, ranging from a 3-litre V6 right up to a supercharged 4.2-litre V8 that goes into this bad boy XJR. It's got 400 brake horsepower and on a straight bit of road will hit 62 in 5 dead. Oh, and give it enough space and it'll run on to electronically limited 155 miles an hour. Phew!
This XJR has air springs and computer-adjusted suspension. It makes the car feel very small and very nimble because it can pump up one side or the other depending on which way round you're going round a corner.
And it shows in the way the Jag sweeps round the bendy bits. There's plenty of feel through the wheel and big agility for this size of car, with the 6-speed auto coping with anything you can throw at it. And as far as the looks go, it's hard to tell new from old XJ, but that's because Jag didn't want to scare their market. Certainly current owners that I've spoken to love the new car, but personally, I just don't think it's radical enough.
And in here, there's nothing that's going to scare the traditional Jag buyer. You've got a great big slab of solid-looking dash, some really nice clear dials, and a really intuitive and simple-to-use touchscreen sat-nav, much better than BMW 7 Series. And you'll also notice over the old XJ that it's absolutely huge in here, especially in the back. Check this out. This is me in the back with a 6-foot driver. It's an absolutely huge car.
But if you're going to buy an XJ, is the 400 brake horsepower XJR really the one to have? The whole range is more suited to cruising than abusing. It's a more genteel experience. And as I drive through the night, there's plenty of time to reflect. Think about it like this. The 3-litre XJ6 has a perfectly adequate 240 brake horsepower and the same appealing image. And it costs just £39,000. That should make all those German luxury car manufacturers quake in their boots.
Welcome back. We're creating a typical head-on accident at typical speeds with typical cars, except they're remote controlled. The tension is high. To capture the carnage in as much detail as possible, we've got 3 ruggedized ultra-high-speed film cameras, 3 digital cameras normally used for military research, and a camera the size of a thimble transmitting the on-board view, all in order to show you what you never normally see. Despite our non-scientific approach, our operation has caused quite a stir in crash testing circles, and the Millbrook Research Facility's Andrew Beach has come to observe. There would have been no survivors. Airbags would not have helped. So Andy, what was here that isn't there anymore?
Well, you can see, because the vehicles didn't actually head on, that on this side of the vehicle, which wasn't hit, you can see the wheel, the suspension and the front structure.
But that beam, isn't that beam pretty solid?
It is, but look at this side. The whole of the wheel's been pushed back, the suspension has gone. That beam has been crushed back, just like it's a bit of tin foil. Here, you can see the engine. It's been twisted in the whole vehicle. The prop shaft is broken. And if we move backwards here to what's left of the driver's door, you can see that the front wheel is now practically touching the back of the driver's door.
And there's no better news for the Beamer. Steering wheel's like right in, there's no room between the front seats and the back seats.
That's right, just look at the amount of crush you've got here, the deformation in the A-pillar, how that's been pushed right back. The wheel has been pushed right back into where the driver's feet would be. And if you look to see the engine really hasn't moved that much. It's more or less where it was. So that shows that when the two cars collided, the engine, the front structure and the engine didn't really take a lot of the energy. It's only when the cars impacted in this area that the actual work started to be done, and most of the energy has been absorbed here, and as you can see, that's resulted in a lot of deformation.
So Andy, I mean, these cars are, what, 10 years old? I mean, are modern designs any better at surviving these sort of accidents?
Yes, modern cars are designed to undergo what's called an offset test, where we actually deliberately only impact half of the vehicle width. So the sort of damage that you see here would be less on a modern car. But I have to say, this 60 mile an hour test, compared to we test at 40 or legally 35 miles an hour, is still way above what a modern car would be able to survive.
So what can we do? Is there any great ideas for the future?
Well, you're fighting sort of conflicting requirements here. You've got the requirement of keeping the passenger compartment rigid so that the occupants don't get crushed, but then you also want to make the front of the car nice and soft so it absorbs as much of the energy as possible. I guess the one thing we could do is make cars with 30-foot bonnets, but they really wouldn't be practical to drive around on the roads.
But I mean, I've seen lots of cars after racing accidents, but nothing quite prepares you for something like this. It makes you think, I'll tell you that. So, next time you're on a country road, a contraflow, or about to overtake, just remember this.